Hi everybody, it's me, Beth Maitland from Drama Queen Bee Quilts. Let's talk about tea dyeing. I have been working on a few cutter quilt projects that you may have seen, both in my Etsy shop, in my instruction videos and tutorials, and elsewhere on my Instagram. And I did a little tea dyeing over the weekend, and I wanted to talk to you quickly about how I did that. I took some in the field videos with my phone, which I will insert in a few minutes. But basically I want to compare with you, this was the after product, obviously after. This is the before. So this was a beautiful crocheted doily, the border around the edges of it. And I wanted to knock a little bit of the brightness back a little. Although I will use this in a couple of things, this will be much more useful to my normal projects. So I decided to dye it all in a big vat on my stove over the weekend. And this will give you an idea of what the original cutter quilt looked like before we got to the tea dyeing. Very, very white, very beautiful, lovely light pastels, but this whiteness, and we ended up with this. This is a recipe which I will include, which involves 5 tea bags. You could make this a lot lighter. I just wanted it really well established. You could make this a lot lighter with less bags of tea. And so get a pencil. I will, this is the recipe. I did 12 cups of water and I boiled it on the stove. You'll see it all in just a minute. And what you won't see, because I put the box away, is that for every 4 cups of water, I include 1 tablespoon of kosher salt. It can be table salt, just salt. That somehow works well to establish the fabric dye. And in a second, I'll tell you the rest of the recipe for the rinse. But what I basically do is bring the 12 cups of water to a boil with the salt in it. I like to put, like I'm making pasta, I put the salt in first. So I did 12 cups of water, 3 tablespoons of kosher salt. Stirred it all in, and as you'll see in the videos, it dissolves to clear as the water comes to a boil. And then I put in 5 tea bags. It's just black tea. In this particular case, it was English breakfast tea. I used 5 bags of black tea, steeped it for 15 minutes after the water boiled. Turn the heat off, put the tea bags in, and let it steep for 15 minutes. Then I removed the tea bags, and then I put in my fabric. Some people like to spread out the fabric and let it, wet it first and go to a lot of effort to make it even. My end result is better if it's irregular. So I left everything even folded and I just dunked it in the tea bath. I leave that sit for 10 or 15 minutes at least. I probably left it for maybe more like a half an hour because I was doing some other things in the studio. So then I dump out the tea and remove the fabric. In this case also, I did a batch with lace, and I put them in the sink while they just drip dry. I rinse them under the tap gently and quickly, not a big deal. And then I refill the pot with another maybe 8 cups of water, and I use white distilled vinegar. I just pour in a blob, maybe a quarter of a cup, in about 8 cups of water, and that is supposed to set the dye. Then I let that sit for 10 minutes minimum, as long as you want maximum. Removed it all, dumped out all the water, put everything back, and let these air dry outside. Now, a lot of people feel like you should heat set this. If you do, if you're going to use this for projects that you launder a lot and you need the tea dye to be heat set, you can iron it. Some people put it in the dryer for 15 minutes. You can hit it with a blow dryer while it's drying to set the tea dye. But I'm not going to launder anything I make with these. There'll be book covers, there'll be journal covers, there'll be inserts in slow stitching projects. So these aren't going to be laundered. So I didn't go to the trouble of heat setting everything. I let them air dry outside, brought them in, and this is what you get. And so again, it's an amazing difference from the pure whiteness of the original cotton products. This will not work on fake stuff, polyester, rayon, spandex. It will only work on natural fibers, cotton, silk, linen, flax, hemp. This will, even things like tencel and ramie will probably take dye, but anything artificial plastic will not. So there's your quick tutorial for how to tea dye. I will insert the video now. If you decide to give it a try, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear how it turns out for you. And again, you can just use a couple of tea bags if you want this a lot lighter. You can use more if you want it more dark. And I was really excited. You'll see in the video, it kind of turned it pinkish, almost like dyeing with avocado skins and avocado nuts. The interior shell, husk inside the avocado turns things kind of pink. So it almost has a pink cast, which is right up my aesthetics. My favorite color is pink. So here's my pot. This is my casual video. Sorry, I just used my phone. It's a little bouncy, forgive the quality. But inside here are 3 tablespoons of kosher salt and 12 cups of water. I am stirring it all up to blend the salt, and these are our original scraps of fabric in the purest of white, as you can see. And I'm showing you that they're still folded, and I'm just going to put the whole thing in a few minutes. But we're going to let this come to a boil, and as it begins to boil, I add 5, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, English breakfast tea bags. And we just turn off the heat, the fire, plop them in. I stir them up a little bit, and I'm going to just let that rest for a few minutes to have the tea steep and to turn our water dark. Then I scoop them out and toss them away, remove all the tea bags, and now have a nice sort of a chocolate brown colored water bath. And we're going to take our fabric, and I left mine folded as we discussed earlier. I'm just going to stuff that in my pot. Careful, it's hot. use utensils. There are wood is our friend at this point. Stir that up, push it down, make sure that all the fiber gets liquid, gets wet, filled with tea in the nooks and crannies. Although again, I opened this out a little bit more, but I wanted to keep it kind of some folds and stuff in it so that there would be pockets where the tea dye perhaps takes a little bit darker in the fold. So after it's steeped, you toss out the tea, and I put the fabric in the sink just to drip dry. I rinsed it just a little bit, and then I filled up the pot again with 8 cups of clear water and distilled vinegar, about 1/4 cup. And then after I wring that out, I put it all in and let it sit for another 10, 15, 20 minutes, and then pour everything out, and we're good to go. There you go. Thank you for joining me for this quick tutorial on how to tea dye quickly, down and dirty for your projects. And I hope that you'll make something beautiful today. Bye.